There are moments in life when we believe that as long as we hold on to unwavering faith, everything will be all right, that the universe is always watching over us, and if we're steadfast enough, good things will eventually come our way. But are we sometimes turning a blind eye to the quiet miracles that life gently sends our way? Today's story is about a young woman living alone in a small wooden cabin deep in the forest. A place where she wakes up every morning to birdsong and ends each night meditating beneath a star-strewn sky. Her life is so simple, so serene, it almost feels detached from the world beyond. She doesn't use social media. She doesn't care for gossip or news. The only thing she holds on to is an unshakable faith in the guidance of the universe. A belief so pure and profound it sometimes makes others think she's simply lost in a dream. Each night, she lights a candle, sits by the window, and writes a few lines in an old, worn-out leather-bound journal. In it, she records things she's grateful for, vague dreams she barely dares to name, and quiet prayers sent out to a higher force she believes is always watching over and protecting her. She doesn't fear the future, because in her heart, she believes the universe always has a plan. But then, one night, a storm rolled in. That night, the sky looked nothing like it usually did. There were no scattered stars, no gentle moonlight filtering through the leaves. Instead, fierce winds howled through the trees, shaking the wooden roof of the small cabin. The girl sat at her usual spot by the window, journal open, candle flickering against the draft sneaking through the cracks. But this time, she didn't write a single word. There was something in the air, something unspoken, that held her still. A strange unease, as if the universe was whispering something she hadn't yet learned how to hear. The first drops of rain began to fall. Not a light drizzle, but heavy, unrelenting sheets of water pouring down from the sky. It didn't stop. It rained through the night, through the morning. By noon the next day, the dirt road connecting her cabin to town was swallowed by mud and rising water. Then came the sound, a distant, wailing siren echoing through the trees. A sound she had never heard in this remote place. A voice crackled over the radio. A major landslide is developing. The northern forest region, your region, is now under high-risk alert. Outside, water surged through the trees, swirling around their roots. The ground began to soften. Roots pushed up. The earth trembled faintly beneath her, like it was preparing to release something it had held back for too long. Yet, the girl remained calm. She sat cross-legged on the wooden floor, closed her eyes, and began to meditate. She whispered to herself, "I'm not afraid. The universe is testing me. Everything will be all right." But what she didn't know, in just a few hours, nothing would be the same. And the miracles she had always believed in, they would appear, but not in the sacred, celestial form she had always imagined. The rain still hadn't stopped. Heavy drops pounded the tin roof in a frantic, jarring rhythm, like war drums signaling that something was coming. The sky was a dull, lifeless gray. Forest trees bent under the weight of the storm. Rocks and soil tumbled down distant hillsides. And yet, the girl remained seated, the candle beside her flickering weaker by the minute. Though the world outside was caught in chaos, within her was a strange stillness, as if she had already learned how to be still in the heart of the storm. Then, a knock at the door. Urgent. Desperate. She got up and opened it. Standing before her was old Mr. Two, the elderly neighbor who lived at the base of the hill. He was soaked through, his clothes dripping, a flashlight trembling in his hand from the cold. "Child, you have to come with me," he rasped, breathless. "The landslide's getting closer. The houses down below, they're already gone. Everyone's evacuating. You can't stay here. It's too dangerous." She looked at him gently and shook her head. "Thank you, sir, but I'm not afraid. I believe the universe has a plan for everything. If I'm meant to be saved, the universe will send that help to me." Mr. Two stared at her, stunned. "But this is the sign, child. I came here because the universe sent me. To warn you." She smiled softly, calmly. "I understand, but my faith doesn't lie in panic. I want to wait a little longer. If there's something I need to see, It'll come clearer soon. He stood frozen for a moment, then slowly shook his head, eyes filled with worry. All right, but if you change your mind, my door is open. With that, he turned and disappeared into the curtain of white rain, his hunched figure swallowed by the storm. She closed the door behind him and returned to her place by the window. Opening her journal, she added one quiet line. The universe is testing my heart. I will stay faithful. The sky darkened into a heavy, oppressive gray. No light filtered through the forest canopy now, just a dense, suffocating gloom that swallowed everything whole. The rain slammed against the cabin roof with a fury, like it was trying to tear the world apart. The ground beneath the floorboards began to tremble, subtle, but unmistakable to anyone who knew how to listen. The forest was breathing fast, like a giant creature holding back a scream. Then, the roar of an engine. Through the storm, the guttural growl of a Jeep's motor cut through the downpour. A rescue vehicle, splattered with mud, fishtailed its way up the slick, treacherous trail leading to the cabin. Two figures in reflective jackets jumped out, wading through ankle-deep water toward her front steps. One of them cupped his hands and shouted over the rain, "Ma'am, we've been ordered to check every home for anyone still stuck in the danger zone. This area is critical. A landslide is imminent. You have to come with us now. The truck is waiting." The girl stepped outside. Her hair clung to her face, soaked through. Her thin cloak was plastered to her skin, rain dripping from its edges. But her face calm, still, as if nothing outside could disturb what was steady within. She listened to their words, then answered in a voice soft but unwavering. "Thank you, truly, but I'm not afraid. I believe everything happens for a reason. I'm safe here. If the universe truly wants me to leave, it'll give me a clearer sign than this." The two rescue workers exchanged glances, confused, concerned. One of them stepped forward, pleading, "Ma'am, the next chance might not come. This is the last trip out." She smiled, gently, almost sadly. "If it's the last one, then maybe it was never meant for me." There was nothing more they could do. With reluctant steps and uneasy hearts, they turned back, climbing into the mud-splattered vehicle. The Jeep reversed slowly, swallowed again by sheets of rain and the winding forest road. And the girls stood there, alone now, surrounded by the sound of howling wind. As the forest began to tremble louder and the storm grew restless, the sky had turned into a thick, impenetrable black. Not the gentle black of a peaceful night, but the dense, oppressive darkness of something looming, something terrifyingly close. The rain still poured, heavy and merciless, but now within it other sounds had crept in. The grinding of earth shifting, the cracking of falling trees, the thunderous crash of rocks breaking loose from the mountainside. It was a chaotic, primal chorus, enough to make any soul shiver. And yet, the girl remained seated in the attic, the highest point in her little home. Wrapped in a thin blanket, eyes half closed, her mind reached not outward, but inward toward that invisible peace she had always believed in. Then, suddenly, another sound. Different. Not rain, not wind, but a deep, rhythmic hum like the heartbeat of some enormous machine. The whir of helicopter blades. She opened her eyes and looked up. Above the treetops, a rescue chopper circled the area. Its spotlight cut through the rain like a beacon from the heavens. And then, through the loudspeaker, to the girl in the wooden cabin, "If you can hear us, signal now. We're lowering the rescue rope. This is the final pickup." From the open side of the chopper, a rescuer dropped a rope ladder. They saw her, a small figure, standing quietly at the edge of the rooftop. Her face illuminated in the beam of light, her eyes reflecting the storm, the stars, and something else, something eternal. They waited, expecting her to run forward, to grab the rope, to save herself, but she didn't. Instead, she raised her hand and waved, not to call for help, but to say no. Then, through the loudspeaker, her voice came, faint but unmistakably calm. "Thank you, but if the universe wants me to leave, it will find another way. I still believe." The rescuers stared, stunned. They waited a moment longer. Then, slowly, the helicopter pulled away, circling once, then fading into the night. And there she remained, a lone silhouette beneath the storm, swallowed once more by darkness and the wild, relentless song of the forest. At dawn the next morning, the final landslide thundered down like the roar of nature unleashed. The small wooden cabin was buried beneath thick, red earth and shattered trees. What was once a peaceful hillside now lay in ruins, silent, broken, and raw. There was no sign of the girl. To those who had known of her, it seemed she had vanished, swallowed by the storm, along with the dream she had clung to so tightly. But somewhere beyond, in a vast, weightless space untouched by time or gravity, she awoke. There was no rain here, no mud, no broken branches or crushed beams. Only light, soft as silk, and an overwhelming peace that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. In front of her stood a man in a white robe, serene, gentle, yet his presence carried a quiet authority that filled the space without a sound. She knew it was God. She felt her knees, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I kept my faith," she whispered. "I believed in you. I trusted you would come for me. But why didn't you save me?" God looked at her with a tender, almost sorrowful smile. "I did come. I came 3 times. I sent your neighbor to knock on your door. I sent the rescue truck to climb the mountain for you. And on the last night, I sent a helicopter through the storm to bring you to safety. But each time, you said no." His voice was gentle, but every word struck with the weight of truth. "You were waiting for me to arrive in a blaze of glory. But you forgot. I live in every person you meet. I move through every chance you're given." She froze. Her heart cracked just a little, and in that small, fragile fracture, light seeped in. "Then it was my fault," she whispered. "I didn't see you when you were right in front of me." God simply nodded, not in judgment, not in anger, but with the quiet grace of a truth long known, a truth finally heard. She was given one final chance, not to return to her wooden cabin, not to stubbornly relive the past, but a chance to understand, to awaken, to choose again. When she opened her eyes, the white expanse faded slowly, and in its place appeared a small, quiet hospital room. She had been saved. Villagers had found signs of life beneath the wreckage and pulled her from the mud and stone with their bare, trembling hands. But this time, her eyes were different, no longer dreamy or distant. They burned, not with the glow of miracles, but with the fierce light of clarity. She no longer searched for God in visions of gold and clouds. Now, she saw him in everything, in the worried eyes of the doctor, in the swollen, scratched-up hands of the man who had dug her out, in the steam rising from a bowl of warm porridge, brought by an old woman who asked for nothing in return. That night, she wrote in her journal, "Turns out, miracles don't always come with thunder or light. Sometimes they knock on your door, arrive in a muddy truck, or dangle from a rope ladder in the rain. And sometimes they come wrapped in silence." From that day forward, she lived differently. Every time someone called her name, every helping hand, every small sign woven into the fabric of life, she looked at it with gratitude, knowing it might be grace in disguise. She began helping others, not to earn blessings, but because she now understood we too could be the miracle someone's been praying for. Her story became a gentle reminder to the world. Faith isn't just about waiting for miracles. It's about recognizing them when they show up quietly in the most ordinary faces. And perhaps that is how God has always been present, in every moment, in every soul. You see, the girl in the story didn't lack faith. In fact, her faith was so strong, it gave her the courage to stay alone, right in the heart of nature's fury. But the problem was never whether she believed. The real problem was she didn't know how to recognize the ways faith might be answered. We all pray in the dark nights of our lives for an escape, a miracle, a sign. But when the answer finally comes, in the form of a stranger knocking, a small unexpected opportunity, or a phone call at just the right moment, we often ignore it because it doesn't look like what we imagined. And then, when everything slips away, we blame fate. We blame the universe. We even blame faith itself. But have you ever stopped to ask, did I recognize the opportunity when it came? How many times did God quietly show up and I looked the other way? My friend, faith isn't just about waiting. It's about seeing, about listening, and about responding when the moment arrives. So next time life knocks on your door, don't ask, is this a miracle? Instead, tell yourself, this might be the answer I once prayed for. And ask yourself honestly, will you recognize it when God shows up in the most ordinary way?